Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Cape Rugby TV, where every Wednesday night we take a look at what's happening in the world of club rugby, and of course our repeats on Saturday. Right, big thanks of course to our partners on board with us, Score Energy Drinks, of course on board with Western Province Rugby and Western Province Club Rugby Sevens. Stick around, I'll tell you a little bit later about how you can win yourself a case of Score Energy Drinks. And of course MChem 24-hour pharmacy on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. Alright folks, as you know, a lot of the clubs are finding different ways to stay connected with their players. The training has been allowed again, friendly fixtures are of course allowed again, but we wait and see what those various announcements are. Of course, in the meantime, some clubs have been getting their players on the park to keep them fit and healthy and motivated, and we of course will carry on talking about the clubs in this manner to keep you connected. We're going to be catching up in a second or so with Gareth Jordan. Gareth is a coach at Unimole. Jonathan Avald from False Bay tells us about their activity. That club there is still very busy. Women's Rugby Sevens coming up. Their fifth team has got friendly fixtures planned for later, and they've got a new venture called the IPL. Gino Topley is from Titans Rugby Football Club. They are continue to find creative ways to stay busy, and we go to Gardens Rugby Football Club, where they had training on a Tuesday night. And of course, as always, we catch up with the DHL Western Province under 20 side. They of course travel to Guebera this weekend. But on the line with me now, Gareth Jordan, coach for Unimole Rugby Football Club. Now Unimole of course have been staying connected with their players. They've been taking their players to gym, of course finding different ways to reach out to the players and stay connected. Tell me a little bit more about that. I've got him on the show for the first time tonight, Gareth Jordan. Gareth, nice to have you here. Welcome to Cape Rugby TV.
How's it, JP? Yeah, thanks very much for having me. Good to be on.
Yeah, first time for us to chat with you. It's great to see that you guys are still, the doors are still open, so to speak. You're still busy talking to the players, the members, and so on. Tell us a little bit more about what's happening there. I mean, last time, in fact, I think it wasn't so long ago that we had Ishmael on the show with us. We in fact got a couple of behind-the-scenes photographs of him doing a bit of CrossFit himself.
Yeah, Ish likes to get involved whenever he can. I hope he's hitting the gym in Australia at the moment. Yeah, JP, as you say, our doors are still open. We're encouraging our players to get down to 2 CrossFit sessions a week that we're still putting on a Tuesday and Thursday. We also have developed some support groups where each coach has got his group of players that he needs to contact on a weekly basis, and that's just more of a personal connection kind of thing, and less about rugby and more about the person at the moment. So yeah, we also encourage boys that if they can't attend their CrossFit sessions, that they post their workouts on WhatsApp groups and challenge each other to try to beat their scores, which has been pretty cool. Some crazy workouts being thrown around with some crazy names and some interesting videos and photographs, which is always good to see. But yeah, I've got to take my hats off to our players. They've been through 18 months of preparation, just about to play, gets called off. I think that's happened about 3 times. Yeah. But a lot of them are still really keen to keep fit and look after their personal health and fitness, and yeah, that's been really cool to see. And even some of the coaches are starting to step in and sort their fitness out, which is a bit of a bonus for us.
So I was wondering about how that actually rolls out, because we know that on a field normally there's a coach with a whistle, and the coach is shouting at the players, get faster, jump higher, get around the corner. And you guys have got a whole gees going generally when it comes to on-field training, and there's a buzz, and if you get down to any rugby field, you know that you can hear the rugby training from a couple of 100 meters away, and now you're in the gym, in the CrossFit gym. How does the coach work with the guys that are doing the gym stuff? I mean, are they also shouting and going crazy?
So it's a good laugh, actually. We had a session about 2 weeks ago, and it's, it was, like I said to you earlier, the connection and the banter and the gears that's generated within the CrossFit setup is pretty cool. You can, the boys walk out like dead on their feet, but you can see that they've kind of been buoyed by a bit of interaction, a bit of, like I say, banter and chirping. So that's been really cool. We're really blessed and privileged to have William from Two Oceans Fitness, which is just up the road from us, and he's been really, really helpful in designing CrossFit programs. We decided to work on a lot of body movement type of exercises where boys could work on their flexibility and range of motion, and then hopefully help them with some prehab and any existing injuries that they can sort out. And then also just teaching boys, the correct lifting techniques so that if they do end up going to gym by themselves, that they don't get injured and they can improve on their personal record, so to speak. And then, like I said, coaches are starting to get involved, and, I think a lot of players kind of pick up on that and notice that, and they can try drive them on as well. And there's always banter about coaches beating players in personal fitness time. So, they write their scores up on the wall. Those scores stay there from week to week. They see if they can improve them. Some coaches come into some sessions with their own made-up sessions. Ben Fenter, our forwards coach, enjoys coming along with a hell of a session to challenge the boys with. We try and mix it up. We try to give everyone a responsibility. If a player's got a particular workout that they want other boys to try out, we fully encourage that. And I think, the more buy-in you get from your players, then the longer they stay, the more they enjoy it, the more ownership, they kind of feel that they have. So it's a kind of a win-win for everyone.
Behind the scenes, of course, just to keep those wheels turning, it takes a group of people that have the will and the energy and the passion to keep driving it. Over the years, we've of course we all know what Nolene has been up to, and Ish has been up to, and Adie's been up to, and Sarel's been up to. I mean, the list goes on, and it has always been for me a special opportunity to grab a samosa when I'm coming into the venue. But behind the scenes, you guys, of course, as a management structure, have had to maybe change the dynamics of communication a little bit.
Yeah, look, we're really blessed to continue to have Nolene, Sarel driving the ship. It's quite crazy how that just seems to go from strength to strength. So, I mean, we're really grateful and really blessed to have them at our club. Marcus also does an incredible job attending meetings and trying to make sure everyone's safe. Policing rugby players it can be tricky at the best of times, and now during COVID, it's obviously so much more. So he's been amazing.
Yeah.
And then we're really blessed to have a really good group of coaching staff who are passionate. We try and meet as regularly as possible via Zoom. And again, that's just coaches meeting. How's it going? What are your thoughts? Have you picked up any concerns with players?
Yeah.
WhatsApp groups are in full flow. As I mentioned earlier, each coach has got their support group that they monitor, and in the player groups, the videos and the messages are flying around. It does dip off from time to time, and sometimes you need to work a little bit harder to make sure everyone's okay and still on board and still is keeping fit and healthy.
Gareth, we'll leave it at that. I tip my hat to you guys for all the activity that you're doing and reaching out to the players, keeping them connected, making them feel that they've still got a home and someone to reach out to. And we'll obviously catch up with you guys again soon. We're looking forward to photographs and videos when they eventually do arrive, and all the best to Nolene and the rest of the family at Unimole.
Thanks very much, JP, and on behalf of Unimole, we really appreciate and we're really grateful for what you do in keeping clubs and players connected and open, and we know that you're working incredibly hard behind the scenes to try to keep club rugby in the Western Cape thriving. Thanks very much for everything you do, pal.
There we go, folks. Gareth Jordan, of course, coach at Unimole, and the guys are doing a fantastic job there. This is what rugby is all about, folks. It is much more than scoring points, and we're hearing these stories come out more and more of how clubs are coming up with creative ways to keep their players active, to keep them connected, and to feel like they've got a second home. And Unimole, again, just demonstrating that that is actually happening, and that's what rugby's about. We'll take a break. When we come back, we carry on talking about club rugby, but we also catch up with the Western Province Rugby under-20s. Back in a sec. Welcome back, folks. You're watching Cape Rugby TV. Nice to have you along. Right, of course, as you know, we keep talking about club rugby, but of course the extensions around that as well. And of course, a lot of players getting into the under-20 side at the moment. Now the under-20s, of course, got their first match started against the Leopards about 10 days ago or so, and this weekend they travel to the Eastern Cape, where they take on Eastern Province in Gwebera, back on the park, and we go behind the scenes again to find out how they're doing and catch up with the players.
No, 100%. It's nice that we had players coming back from a highly competitive competition. I think that just it raises the standards in the group, and to have them come back in, and his leadership that has been shown from guys that were with people who have played longer than us. So just everyone coming back together was quite nice. I think the competition is very healthy. There's no hard feelings in this team, and I think it helps us a lot because guys get pushed to better standards every practice, and that competitiveness. It will show on the field eventually. Our first result wasn't quite where we wanted it to be, but I mean, with time, that competitiveness will pay off. No, 100%. I think also makes you appreciate playing age group rugby again, because eventually it does finish. So learning from the older guys, small things, small tips, and then trying to influence them on the team or do them myself, I think was very valuable for me. So every time there I pick up something new, I think it's a new challenge playing away from home as our group, and the first result wasn't what we wanted, as I've said. So this is time to get something back and put out a statement there for our team, because at the end of the day we do have the substance to win this competition. I think we will. Yeah, they've given us. We've got the perfect platform in terms of training facilities and coaches, and it's very relatable to have a coach that's played at a higher level, that played where you want to play. So you can always take something, a leaf out their book, and then they've given us the platform, and we the guys just have to go show it on the field.
Ja, maar ek was blij om te hoor ons nog 'n bietjie oefen. Ek meen dit was 'n baie lang tyd wat ons saam geoefen het as 'n groep. En om teen die S11 te gaan het ons nogals dit ingesit en hard gewerk, ure agter dit gesit. Die tyd gemaak om daar uit te kom in ons studies. Laat stil staan vir dit, want ons wil graag bietjie speel. So ja, dit was lekker om te hoor van ons gaan oefen saam mekaar by die HPC. Ja, maar ek onthou nog die dag, ons kom almal aan en ons het teen Boland gaan speel. Dus daar was 60 mense, hulle het 2 spanne klaar uitgepak, ons dis nou die reg ons gaan nou speel. So dit was lekker, dit was 'n groot skok geweest, maar ek het uitgesien vir die challenge toe almal terugkom, en dit was lekker geweest om saam almal weer te oefen. Het is altyd lekker om soos diepte te hê, want dan kan julle mekaar toets en julle kan mekaar opbou en soos mekaar help om daai stapie verder te vat. Ja, dit is lekker om kompetisie te hê en soos om te sien waar jy staan in die groep. En dit is altyd lekker om te werk soos teen mekaar, en dan na die tyd dan skud ons mekaar se hande en sê goeie dag, lekker dag gehad. Ja, jy sien ek onthou dit nog toe ons daar op draaf toe sien, ek is maar hierdie man like oud en hulle kom net van die werk af met hulle gou teen ons. Maar dit was baie taaf geweest. Maar die physicality was lekker geweest. Ek het nog al eerste tackle. Dit was hard. Ek het het gevoel asof ek nog 'n bietjie moet oefen, maar dit was baie lekker geweest en ek het baie geniet om teen ou rounds te speel. Ja, nee, ons sien baie uit. Dit gaan 'n goeie kompetisie wees. Veral daar in die Wanderige City, soos hulle dit noem. En ek sien uit om bietjie te jol. Ek dink dit gaan lekker wees teen hulle, goeie kompetisie. Hulle was unlucky geweest in die 2 vorige games, maar ons sal sien hoe dit gaan hierdie naweek en hopelik kan ons die wen deurtrek.
Ja, ek dink dit het definitief wel goed gegaan tot en nou toe. Ons het in die agterlyn 'n hele paar beserings gehad wat daarom nie so lekker is nie, maar van die manne kom weer terug nou en ja, die span is regtig reg vir die naweek wat ons nou teen EP speel en ek dink ons het regtig goeie voorbereiding gedoen vir die game. Die definitief kompetisie het definitief hier beter geraak, maar ek dink ook verskillende ouens van verskillende universiteite bring ietsie nuuts na die tafel toe wat regtig jy kan iets leer van ou wat dalk van maties afkom of ou wat UCT of UWC, so definitief leer van mekaar af, maar ook lekker kompetisie, maar daai kompetisie is goed vir mekaar, ons trek mekaar lekker in ons posisies. Regtig as ons ken mekaar nou van 'n lang tyd, so wat jy ook deur die jare ook teen mekaar gespeel het, so jy weet ook al 'n bietjie wat is hierdie ou goed in en wat doen hierdie ou goed, so hoe kan jy van hom af speel en hoe, ja, so definitief het help regtig baie dat ons al voorheen saam gespeel het of teen mekaar gespeel het. Ja, as jy dink, as jy teen sulke groot ouens speel wat ouens wat al 'n bietjie groter en ouer as jy is, as jy dan kry baie confidence as jy teen hulle speel, as jy daai groot tackle moet maak of jy moet daai run maak, dan kry jy baie meer confidence en dan as jy teen mense dan van jou eie ouderdomsgroep speel, dan gaan jy outomaties meer met confidence in die game in. Ja, dis so definitief die leiperde kon ons baie goed uit die wedstryd uitvat, goeders waarop ons kan beter raak, lynstane waar ons kan werk, agterlyn wat bietjie meer kan werk om space te attack. So daar regtig goeders wat ons kan aan werk en eintlik baie opgewonde om dit nou te gaan implementeer teen EP die naweek. Ek dink is 'n goeie toets wees vir ons om beter te raak.
Yeah, I mean, especially like guys that's in the Cape for rugby, like in Cape Town, that came to Cape Town to play rugby. I mean, we're here to play rugby, so without that, life is quite boring, you know, like there's nothing much to do but just stay fit and in the gym. Yeah, definitely, and it built on experience-wise as well. So like over there you're training with guys that's 25, 24 years old, have a lot of experience in the game, and now coming to the under 20s, you can bring some of that experience here as well. Obviously very exciting, like if you play for other provinces, Western Province is one of the team you look up to, and you always like as a dream to play in the Western Province jersey, so being that actual situation is much different. It's like a dream come true, yeah. It was unreal, like as obviously you watch a lot of games being played at Newland and you tell yourself like you also want to be in that position one day to be playing there, and yeah, obviously just a wonderful experience. Yeah. Yeah, definitely, like considering like testing of combinations as well. Seeing as it was our first game, like there's a lot of combinations to test. Our first game as a team together. So obviously a lot to improve on. The fortunate thing for us is we have a lot to work on. At least we came there with a draw, not a loss. But obviously in our books that's a loss. At least we have an opportunity to work on things and moving on to the next game. So yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think every week is like a good build up to the game. And it's just like I personally think it's like what we make out of it. If your mind is ready for the game, if you put yourself in the game situation, the other conditions like traveling and the weather won't play a big factor in your game, but the game itself. Thinking of the fact that we are like under 20s as well, and we still have a lot to learn, and obviously having them as mentors and role models to us juniors, is like I take that as a motivation and as positive, because you have something to look forward to. Hearing their stories, them sharing their stories, just gives you like thrills and making you want to be in like the Springbok jersey, Western Province senior jersey. So yeah, I just take that a lot as motivation and pushing myself extra while at training.
And the 20s then getting ready for action. Fantastic stuff. Great to see the guys always keen to chat with us, and of course this weekend. It's off to Guebera, where they take on Eastern Cape, so that's great stuff. Right, folks, well, of course, as you know, on a weekly basis, we take a look at what's happening at MChem 24-hour pharmacy, and of course, as you know, it's the flu season, and so of course, we normally speak to the experts at MChem to find out more about flu vaccination, and they'll tell you that there are a number of high-risk categories such as pregnant women, the elderly, and of course young children. And according to the Center for Disease Control, young children, at least children that are younger than 5 years old, especially those younger than 2, are at a high risk of developing serious flu-related complications. A flu vaccine, of course, offers the best defense against flu and its potentially serious consequences, and can also reduce the spread of flu to others. Now, getting vaccinated has been shown to reduce flu illnesses, doctor's visits, missed work, and of course school days, and reduces the risk of flu-related hospitalization and death in children. And that, of course, that by preventing and reducing the severity of the illness associated with flu will, of course, ease the burden on patients and the country's healthcare system. Now, of course, you can get your flu vaccine at MChem 24-hour pharmacy clinics anytime from 8 a.m. in the morning until 8 p.m. in the evening every day of the week, Monday to Sunday. No appointment needed. Of course, MChem is always open and just for you. And incidentally, I was at MChem in this week, and the COVID vaccinations are happening also at MChem, as well as testing for those of you that are interested. MChem is, of course, on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. You simply need to look for this building that you see behind me now to find the venue. And, of course, open 24/7. Folks, we'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we carry on talking about club rugby. Back in a sec. Welcome back, folks. It's Cape Rugby TV. We carry on talking about what's happening in club rugby. And, of course, well, we know that things are tricky at the moment, tricky times, shall we say. But there are some activities out there, and clubs continue to find creative ways to make sure that they are connected to their members. And on our side, what we, of course, are doing is reaching out to the clubs that are finding these creative ways to stay connected to the members. Of course, as you know, women's rugby has been very active, received a lot of promotion. One of the club structures that, in fact, has got women's rugby activity very active is, of course, False Bay. Jono van der Walt joins me back on the show now. Jono, nice to have you back, man. How are you?
Hey, JP, how's it going? Thanks, man. Lekker to be on the show again.
Yeah, Jono, so of course, as I said, it is tricky times, of course, at the moment. But nevertheless, some of the clubs are coming up with creative ways to stay busy, to stay active, and we know that there are different segments in clubs. Some have got youth structures, some have got senior structures, some have, of course, got women's structures. At False Bay, you've got the women's side. We have spoken to Zoe Nordier there. We believe things remain active.
Yes, JP, again, obviously, as you mentioned, we've at False Bay, we pride ourselves on our depth, and we've got many teams, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, the sixth side. We've got a ladies team, and we have 220 teams, and of course, not kind of forgetting our jocks and crocs. At the moment, Zoe is doing a phenomenal job with our ladies, and since we've come out of another lockdown, she's kind of got the ladies together, and they're actually prepping for a Sevens Day coming up in the next I think it's the 4th of September, and they'll be playing against Stellenbosch ladies, and the ladies are pumped up and ready to play some sevens rugby.
So when we interviewed Zoe, she told us that she started off with 5 players, now has more than 50 players at the squad, and I suppose under normal circumstances there would be 15s rugby, 7s rugby now on the cards. Do you get involved at all? Do you take a look? Do you take a wander down there every now and then and see how things are going?
So what actually started off, like you said, very small with about 6 or 7. We actually gave them what we call the cabbage patch, which is the middle. It's kind of the bit of grass in between the two fields. It's actually very nice grass, to be quite honest. But that's where she started, and it's grown so much now that we have a very good problem in that the fact that we again don't have enough field space for all of our teams. So practices during the week become a bit of an arm wrestle for field space. But between all the teams, we managed to get 20, 30 meters of field space. But at the moment, Zoe's numbers are growing from strength to strength, and it's good to see youngsters and youth coming down and playing the game that we love.
Sevens rugby, of course, the next step to 15s rugby. But nowadays, we do see players focusing and specializing in maybe one category. Do you think that? I mean, we know how popular sevens rugby is. Under normal circumstances, I know we've got the HSBC sevens at the end of the year. Do you think that that's what's happening? Is that players are saying, "Look, I'm choosing my code. I'm going to be a seven specialist"?
Yes, I think from a ladies' perspective, it's a nice sport to get into, or a nice code, should I say, once you're trying to get into rugby, because the contact is slightly less, although the physical and the fitness demands are far greater. But from a ladies' perspective, it's a very good intro to come from touch rugby sevens and then into 15s. As far as men's concerned, as we know, sevens is a very specialist game. So, like we like to think that a lot of our quick guys and skillful guys will kind of play there, but it's very much taken on a specialist form in terms of its skill set, in terms of the way guys play, and also the way that they train and prepare. So it is very different to the 15s game. We'll see our coaches even change because the methodologies and kind of everything is completely different, even in terms of structure and skill set compared to sevens and the 15s game. So yeah, I think from a ladies' perspective, it's a nice intro for the guys that become specialists. I mean, we even see it at False Bay. We'll have a first, second, third team playing the 15s league year in, year out. And when it gets to the 7 aside, the older, slower guys step aside and the youngsters kind of come in and do their thing. Yeah?
You've also got the FIFAs at False Bay. Now, you're going to have to explain to me what are the FIFAs. As I said, of course, in the intro, there are different segments to club structures. Now, when you mentioned the FIFAs, I thought you were talking about football.
No, so our FIFOs, we would always think of it as first in, first out, FIFOs, but it's actually it was historically our 4th side, which is actually our 5th side now. So they play in the reserve league, and they call themselves the FIFOs. They're a hell of a fun bunch of guys that are coached by Wayne James. And even though we've seen a lot of older stalwarts kind of come from there, and they've come from the FIFOs up, and some of them have even represented our first team over the years. So and then also gone on to go to Varsity Cup. We've actually got quite a nice story. A gentleman prop by the name of Simon Raw, he used to play for the FIFOs along with his brother. He caught the eye of us, obviously further up. He played for us in the first team, went across to UCT, played Varsity Cup. Then went to play some professional rugby, and now he applies his trade in France, playing prop there. So you can come from a 5th team at False Bay, make it to professional rugby, and all just if you put your head down and work hard.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story. And then also behind the scenes, and we understand, of course, you guys are playing Hamilton's, the 5th side, later in the year.
Yes, correct. So they are called the Hamilton's Dynamiters, which is also their basically, it'll be the Hammy's 4th team in their reserve league side. And False Bay FIFOs are going to take on Hammy's Dynamiters in what's going to be a home and away type of a game tussle. So they're looking at for bragging rights this year, and they're going to play for a bit of a trophy and try and make it as competitive as possible.
Over the last 2 years, you've done a number of different activities at the club, from quiz shows to best dressed player, father and son photographs. I mean, you've really come up with so many different creative ways to keep connected with your members base. Which, in fact, I don't think of it anymore when I speak to you guys. I don't think it anymore as a members base. I think it more of as a supporters club. But you've got another venture on the cards now, IPL.
Yes, JP. Again, at the moment, the club is struggling to find a couple of fixtures, and we thought we'd keep it in house. We have such a huge player base, and we have such huge depth. So we have, again, our first, second, third, fourth, fifth team. So what we're kind of proposed to do, and this is all player driven, it's come from our club captain and from our first team captain. They're busy planning at the moment as we speak. We will be assigning all of the players a certain value. So if you're in the first team, you obviously have a certain value, second, third, fourth team. We will pull all the players together. We will have a draft evening whereby we've selected four head coaches, and they will be selecting 15 to 20 players who they will pick based on a value. So it will be very interesting to see exactly what type of teams come out of that draft situation. And from there, the guys will train and they'll prepare to play in an internal 10s competition, which will be held at False Bay, probably during the middle of the week in the evenings.
So let me just get this right. I mean, before we actually talk about the rugby side of things, it's a little bit like Monopoly. You're putting value on a player.
Correct, yes. So a first team, for argument's sake, a first team player will say be valued at 1,000 rand, and a second team 800, and a third team 400. And now as a coach, you have a certain value and a value cap, and you must now make sure that you bid and try and purchase your players for your team.
That's fantastic. All creative ways to stay connected. General training, Jono, in the evenings. Of course, you guys are staying busy, keeping the players fit, and doing some sprints and keeping healthy.
Correct. What we've done is we've kind of just kept in our squads. So the first team squad stayed together. We're about 30-35 guys. The second team squad is about 20 to 25. And they've been joined by some of the third team guys, and some of the under 20s have also joined the second team squad as well. So on a Monday evening, we train up at our CrossFit facility. And due to COVID, we can't have big groups like we used to. We used to have between 80 and 100 people down training together, and obviously due to COVID, we've narrowed that down to 20-25 people to keep kind of aligned with social distancing and all the rest. So on a Monday, our seconds and our under 20s, they kind of join forces, and then on a Tuesday evening, the first team squad get together. And on a Thursday evening, if guys want to play some touch and do some skills, the field is available. Our FIFOs and our ladies are training on the field at the moment as they prepare for upcoming sevens and friendly games.
Yeah. No, you guys are lucky, Jono. I think you're blessed to have a sporting facility that is in the outside. It's fresh air, it's open, you've got a lot of space, and you're able to use that within those safety protocols. That's great news for rugby. Jono, we'll leave it at that. We'll say to you and the rest of the guys, stay safe, and we look forward to catching up again soon.
Lekker, thank you very much, JP.
There we go, folks. Jonathan van der Walt, False Bay rugby head coach, and they keep staying active. A lot of great ideas there, a lot of creative ideas. But of course, their sevens women's rugby side then getting onto the field shortly, and then their fifth team later in the year playing against the Hamilton's fifth team. So a bit of planning in that, and of course their creative, what he calls IPL. But otherwise, trying to stay healthy, trying to stay fit. We'll take an ad break. We'll come back. Carry on talking club rugby. Back in a sec. Welcome back, folks. Cape Rugby TV. We carry on talking about what's happening in the world of club rugby, and of course, as you know, clubs are allowed to have their they're allowed to train, they're allowed to do friendlies, they're allowed to do friendly fixtures at least, and of course training is happening at some of the clubs. Some of the clubs have opened their fields, brought some of the players down to the field, which is of course fantastic for the players to have a bit of a run at the end of the day, and that's really good news for the players, that they can at least stay fit, stay healthy, and of course that's very good for their well-being. And this past Tuesday, Gardens was our pick of the week. We went down there on Tuesday night to catch up with some of the players behind the scenes.
Dit is zoals we staan, was het een goede jaar, dat is afgeëindigd. De boys het uitgezien op de tweede, die vorige jaar, because ons is op plein op de league te gevaren. Dus het eerste jaar dat ons 1 punt uit op de league te vat. Maar ons liefst een trofee is toegebracht voor een span wat voor de eerste keer voor het hele jaar begin het. Zodat die jaar zo'n span wel die tweede jaar die trofee gevaren op te gaan. Maar toen begon de COVID uitstiek. Dus het is allemaal gejamd. Ja, definitief. Ik was een van hulle, but unfortunately toen mijn coach mij gezegd, nou, ik moet rust. But ek kan glo my boys wat saam gespeel met my team players, my speelmaats, my vriende. Hulle was overwhelmed. Die ouens het die opportunity gevat om hy in die gym mee te gehaal het. En op te geoefen het op die preek te speel het, op hy laaste paar, denk 3 of 4 vreemdes te gespeel het. Dus sy my gespreek het die 2 clubs wat ons apparently gestruggle het in die begin het, Police en Silvertree. Ons het Silvertree 1-1 hier gespeel. En in die tweede ronde tournament uitgeskop te word. Ons het hulle gewen net. In die friendlies toe hulle die boys met surprise op wegtal met hulle. Dieselfde moet in Police. Hulle het op Police gewen 50 iets. Maar ek weet dat hulle gewen 50 iets. Ja, die ouens en ek is nogal baie sien as ek senior players. By Gardens as ek baie nogal proud van die boys wat opgeoefen het soos meestal van die boys wat hier speel, hulle is allemaal van junior, van Atlantic Academy. Ek het hulle 2 jaar terug gesê, hulle kans het kom op by die seniors team te speel. En ek is nogal blij dat hulle het opgekom met mas, om te sê, nou, ek is prepared vir die. Hy kan nie by ewig junior speel, so hy was prepared om te kom met. En ek is blij dat hulle die 2 games dat ek van weet, het hulle baie goed gedoen. Het is nou net 'n bietjie week, maar die ouens is excited om nou terug te kom na die laaste lockdown met hulle weer vir ons gekanselleer het. Ons almal is excited nou, ons is nie excited miskien as ons miskien weer 2 of 3 vriendjes kan speel. Ek is actually meer excited because ek need om my body weer in 'n kar te ry. Soos 'n bus te staan, so ja. Ek is excited vir 'n contact sessie, like 'n groot heavy contact sessie.
Not a lot of the guys are here because some people still a bit afraid of COVID and they're just being safe, but the guys that are here, they're trying their best. We're all trying our best at home and on the field. To be honest, firstly I was actually scared because I'm now playing with the guys that are over 20 years old, guys that are playing rugby for probably more than 10 years, 15 years, and me just coming up, you know, nerve-wracking. But as the games went on, I got used to it and I'm enjoying it. Yes, because in the junior structure, obviously we play a bit of more basic rugby, but as you come to the senior level, things become much more complicated and we go more in depth with moves. We, besides, we used to do like 3 or 4 lineouts in the junior structure, but now we got about 8 lineouts, so just adapting takes some time, you know. We're definitely looking forward to a new season. We're actually looking forward to this season, but unfortunately COVID came through, but now we just got to train hard, keep our fitness on a level, and next year we can come back strong.
Ja, vir die eerste jaar was dit in die begin, het was iets waar ons begin te bou het. Soos die jaar aangegaan het, toe was het weer nice geweest, want die man het mekaar leer ken, hulle het gebond, die rugby het net gegroei. Ja, ons het 2-3 games verloor in die season in, but hy was nie nog 'n major setback, hy was die eerste staat, so vorentoe het ons begin te wen, ons het trofee gewen in 2019. En die gees was net hoog geweest, die ouens het begin te weer lekker voel, mekaar voel, spirit was hoog. Het was weer nice geweest 2019. Ja, die manne het passion vir die game van, ons het 'n group chat op WhatsApp obviously, en die manne, hulle stook mekaar in die group chat, yeah, winners practice because they're hungry, and look here tonight, the numbers has turned out, it's been good. Kyk, so toe COVID begin het, toe was die boys, hulle was down van, hulle was op 'n high geweest, die season gaan begin, het gaan 'n nuwe season is, die manne gaan weer lekker deur die season wen en so, maar soos dit aangegaan het, het dit COVID gekom, regulations, hard lockdown en sulke goed, but as time went on, we started coming back to training, numbers was full, we had 3 full teams in the COVID period, so it was actually very nice. And we went into the season now in June, May, June, there around, and we started winning again because the boys' spirit was on a high and everything was good, going as planned.
Basically what happens is if you look at most of our boys, they are youngsters and they really want to get out. And due to the fact of the lockdowns and the COVID, we lost a lot of players. Some they went to other clubs, and for them to bring them together as a team, we all depend with transporting the boys coming down here. So it has been a struggle from 2020 for them to come, and especially on my side to work with them on conditioning. And the gyms has been closed and the fields were not being open for the guys to work on. So 2020 was a little bit hard. Then 2021, when it's opened, we also faced the same thing in the first few months. And when it was opened, we were so excited to say rugby is back. It was a big challenge on my side because now, mainly if you come across with the boys, my boys are not the boys like from the guys that plays in the top league, whereby they've got access of getting to the gyms. To an extent now, you have to start assessing the players in terms of the nutrition, in terms of their physical being. Some they were obese, and the fitness level has to come back into a pre-existing, the one that you have to start from the bottom. So instead of me to condition them to the level that I was expecting for 2021, it was a big challenge for me, to be honest. Boys, we did well in the preseason. The boys, they were like showing the motivation, although with the other clubs that we played also from the league that we are in, they were also struggling like us. But we were upper hand to really show that the guys, they started getting motivated because our conditioning was more higher than the other clubs. But we are looking forward, and that's why we are here now, to trying to get the guys together such that we can carry it forward. It's a quite positive thing, especially some of the guys, they had to leave work and they're now committing to get into rugby. Some of the guys that we do have here, as you can see, they are students. Some they are under 21s. Instead of focusing with their studies, they are now excited that rugby has been opened, and they are excited because we have got a vision that I always work with the guys to say we've got a vision 2024. So our vision 2024, we want to see Gardens going to the next level, so that we bring the heydays of Gardens rugby. So whenever we chat with the guys, we are more friendly with the boys. I'm also growing as a coach because I'm also into as a junior coach. So we get to know more, and we chat every now and then so that we can come together.
There we go, folks. Gardens Rugby Football Club, keeping the players busy, keeping them fit, and of course, fantastic to see that the players are enjoying it so much. At least being able to have a little bit of a run, and that's really good news for those players and for that club and its membership structure. So that's great news, folks. Right, of course, as you know, on a weekly basis, you can win yourself a case of Score energy drinks. Score, right? Of course, Score on board with Western Province Rugby and the Western Province Club Rugby Sevens. So now if you want to win yourself this case of Score energy drinks, of course, as you know, at the moment, we are running the Spot the Logo competition. All you need to do is go to our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Cape Rugby TV, and go and look for the Spot the Logo competition. So on a weekly basis, we run this competition where you need to go and spot the logo. So we take one of your logos, the Club Rugby logos, we make a little change and see if you can identify the logo, which is great, in fact, for call it a know your club. You know, do you know the other clubs out there? And this week we took a look at the Spot the Logo competition for Caledonian Roses. We took Cali's logo, made a few changes, and saw at least if anybody on Facebook was able to identify the logo. And of course, as usual, many responses, and this week's winner and the correct reply is Rafik Peterson, or Fiki Peterson. Congratulations, Rafik. You walk away with a case of Score energy drinks and of course a set of Cape Rugby TV masks courtesy of CTC Sports. We'll be in touch with you on Facebook Messenger so you can come and collect your prize. Folks, we'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we carry on talking about club rugby. Back in a sec. Welcome back, folks. Cape Rugby TV. We carry on talking about club rugby. And of course, well, you can see our current thread is at the moment chatting with clubs that are finding different ways to keep their players engaged, keep talking to their members, keep talking to their community, and that's the content that we're trying to share with you to show you that many of the clubs out there are in fact still busy talking to their members. And of course, at the moment, we know that a lot of the clubs are in fact looking at using their field facilities to offer training opportunity for the players, even if they're not training to get ready for a match. Some of the clubs are giving the opportunity for their players to get on the field and do a little bit of fitness and stay healthy. Gino Topley is from Titans Rugby Football Club, no stranger to Cape Rugby TV. Gino, welcome back. How are you?
Hi, good to be back, JP. Thanks again for the opportunity for the club as well. But no, everything's good on our side. Hope everything is good on your side as well.
Yeah, I suppose we keep saying one day at a time. We keep waiting to see what who's doing what. But it's great for us to be chatting with you again. I think the last time we spoke to you, you were busy with the outreach project and preparing for another noodle run. Activity at Titans still continuing?
As always, yes, JP. It's something we can't do well. I can't sit still. It's something that I can't do. So I affect a lot of others doing the exact same thing. But yeah, no, training-wise, it's starting fully. Let's say by next month, we'll have most of the guys back on training. But at the moment, we have little groups coming up. The guys are still at home doing their little thing. It's not all about rugby, like you said in the introduction, as well as that. It comes along with the mentality of people as well. Some of us can't do without it. Some of us can. But yeah, to keep the guys entertained, let's say that. But we keep the gates open. We let them do what they need to do, and the coaches are available all the time.
You've come up with a couple of one or two, at least, if one looks at the type of training activity that you're able to do. I mean, you've got a big field. There's a lot of wide open space. Players are at the very least able to run.
Oh, yes. You know, we have little groups now training, be it 6 to 8 people. They have a field to go wild on. At the moment, last week, we concentrated mainly on the backline players, getting their skills sharpened a bit. I know there's no cement or concrete answer that when, you know, there will be games or anything like that. But yeah, we got them onto the field. We get their skills up to a certain level. I know it's not game level kind of things, but, you know, for them not to, you know, be too far off the trail when it comes to actual season again.
Is that something that the guys are enjoying? Is at the end of the day, or at the end of work, at the end of the day, just getting down to the field and having a bit of a run?
Yes, for the guys, I would say for the guys that's closer to the field when it's not training days, they do go to the field to do their thing. For others, they are a bit far from it, so they do their little things at home as well. So they do keep themselves entertained. At the end of the day, it is rugby. It is something that they love. If they can visualize something in their head for them to do, by all means do it. But when it comes to the coaches and their planning, they are still keeping all of those options open for the players to do.
Have you got some plans for the outreach projects that are coming up? We know that you guys make such an effort, and of course we know that you also involve your players and management in that.
Oh, yes. Last week we sat down as a management group and we got Busy Corner involved again, and I can't stop thanking every show. I will do the exact same thing. They've been in our corner all the time. Busy Corner do their outreach projects as well. We just want to actually look after our community. At the end of the day, in the whole of September, we're going to be looking at about 4 or 5 different shelters. COVID is actually stopping us to do the normal handouts, our noodle runs and all of those little things, because at the end of the day, we are rugby players, but we have families to consider at home as well. So in that regard, we're trying to do things that looking at more stable institutions that is struggling. We got our background checks. There's some of them that are struggling in a sense of weekends where they don't have all 3 meals, be it for the sick, be it for the elderly, be it for the kids at shelters and all of those little things. So that is a direction we are going to be moving at. That is being in September. And once again, we're just waiting for Busy Corner to finalize a little few things. And once we have them fully committed to this, then by all means, we will be sorting that out.
And do you know, I mean, from a player perspective, there's a lot of buzz at the moment around training. You know, people talking about, can you train or can't you train? Are you guys reaching out to the players? Like, I mean, do you chat to them on WhatsApp? Do you still communicate with them in that manner?
Yes, we do. Not as much as we did when the first, well, let's say lockdown is still going on. But in the beginning, you know how hard it was to get the guys' mentality right, to keep them fit and all of those little things. I would say they are well trained now mentally. We don't need to go after them and say this, and that. They will then reply to us, say, I have done this, I have done that. And the coaches has been amazed by it because it lessens their work, it lessens their thinking time at home with, you know, they have other things to deal with. So on that regard, yes, we are sticking with still the first phase one thing that they would like to call it, that Western Province told us to do, with regard that COVID and all of these things are still around. So like I said, we do have families to go back to at home and all of those things. So we are happy that the guys are actually doing things on their own. But then again, we do come in the week once or twice to actually do those things with our forwards, do it with our backlines, you know, keep them entertained with that there is still a club and Western Province is still, you know, taking note of everything that's being done.
And of course, from a management perspective, I mean, the fact that you're doing more than just rugby, it means that you guys as management are obviously always talking to each other, always planning, always discussing what's coming next and just staying in touch.
Oh, yes, no. You know, before we were not that tight-knit. When lockdown hit, it was just chaos. We did not know where to go and what to do. Thanks to Mr. Sensei JP that, you know, put us through our paces on how to deal with these things in the tight times that we had. So we have, I would say, a nice oiled machine. I won't say it's the fastest on the planet, but we are doing what we need to do. And in management-wise, I can just always take my hat off to them because I would say that everything I throw at them, it's never arguments, never big things. It's how we're going to work with it. It's a plan, so let's stick to it. So, you know, those type of things. In a rugby, when you're playing, you are practicing plan A. You don't want to go to plan B because you're so confident. So that's how we do it with our mentality and management as well.
It's great stuff. You know, it's fantastic to see that you guys are able to talk to each other and stay connected in so many different manners, using so many different forms of communication. Gino, this is great stuff. It's great catching up with you again. We'll leave it at that. We look forward to finding out more, and of course, whatever the next outreach project is that you're putting on the table, and for us to talk about that. And yeah, well done to you and the squad.
No. Thanks, JP. Again, this opportunity is just more than welcome through the club as well. We can't be more grateful. I would just, you know, out of everything, I would just say to all the other clubs that's under Western Province, you know, just continue doing what they're doing. I know things are tight. We're not doing rugby at the moment, but we have community work to do. I don't see, and this is from a personal perspective, I don't see any other coach really stepping up to doing these kind of things. So, you know, to carry the gears that people are still raving about, that they hope that the Springboks has done and, you know, put back into the country. No, we have to do the chain reaction. We're all playing rugby at the end of the day, so we would want to actually continue the hard work that we've been doing and the other clubs has been doing. It's just the face of our community at the moment. So, you know, thank you for that. We carry the hope of it.
No, that's fantastic, Gino, and we take our hat off to you and the squad. There we go, folks. Gino Topley, MR officer at Titans Rugby Football Club, and if they're not busy with a training, they're busy with an outreach project, one of the other, if not both, always. And it's great to see that that they're so active as a management structure and active as a club in general. Really incredible stuff from Titans Rugby Football Club. Folks, that's a wrap from us then again this evening, and we'll stay to you, of course, stay safe out there, and we'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Have a fantastic rugby weekend. Bye-bye.